Thursday of the 17th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the book of Leviticus. The Lord said to Moses, "These are the festivals of the Lord which you shall celebrate at their proper time with a sacred assembly. Passover of the Lord falls on the 14th day of the first month at the evening twilight. The 15th day of this month is the Lord's feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first of these days you shall hold a sacred assembly and do no sort of work. On each of the 7 days you shall offer an oblation to the Lord. Then on the 7th day you shall again hold a sacred assembly and do no sort of work." The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and tell them, when you come into the land which I am giving you and reap your harvest, you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest, who shall wave the sheaf before the Lord, that it may be acceptable for you. On the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall do this. Beginning with the day after the Sabbath, the day on which you bring the wave offering sheaf, you shall count 7 full weeks, and then on the day after the 7th week, the 50th day, you shall present the new cereal offering to the Lord. The 10th of this 7th month is the Day of Atonement, when you shall hold a sacred assembly and mortify yourselves and offer an oblation to the Lord. The 15th day of this 7th month is the Lord's Feast of Booths, which shall continue for 7 days. On the first day there shall be a sacred assembly, and you shall do no sort of work. For 7 days you shall offer an oblation to the Lord, and on the 8th day you shall again hold a sacred assembly and offer an oblation to the Lord. On that solemn closing you shall do no sort of work. These, therefore, are the festivals of the Lord on which you shall proclaim a sacred assembly and offer as an oblation to the Lord burnt offerings and cereal offerings, sacrifices and libations as prescribed for each day." The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, "Sing with joy to God our help. Take up a melody and sound the timbrel, the pleasant harp and the lyre. Blow the trumpet at the new moon, at the full moon, on our solemn feast. Sing with joy to God our help, for it is a statute in Israel, an ordinance of the God of Jacob, who made it a decree for Joseph when he came forth from the land of Egypt. Sing with joy to God our help. There shall be no strange God among you, nor shall you worship any alien god. I, the Lord, am your God, who led you forth from the land of Egypt. Sing with joy to God our help."
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus came to his native place and taught the people in their synagogue. They were astonished and said, "Where did this man get such wisdom and mighty deeds? Is he not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother named Mary, and his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Are not his sisters all with us? Where did this man get all this?" And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor except in his native place and in his own house." And he did not work many mighty deeds there because of their lack of faith. The Gospel of the Lord.
The first reading comes from Exodus 40, 16 to 21, and 34 to 38. We hear about how Moses erects the tent of meeting, just as God had ordered him. He sets everything up. He places the ark in that tent of meeting, the ark being a box which contained some of the holy things that God had given to Israel. For example, we hear that the 10 Commandments are put in there. In other passages, we hear that a bit of the manna that the Israelites received in the desert is put there, as well as the staff of Aaron. Remember how the leaders of the tribe of Levi put their staffs into that box. The next day when they opened it, the only one which had flowered, which had blossomed, was Aaron's staff, which was made of almond wood. So in some of the prophetic messages, almond becomes a sign of the priestly dignity of the family of Aaron. Well, the Lord appears to the people of Israel as cloud during the day and as fire by night, leading them along their way. And the idea is that God is constantly guiding his people, constantly present with them, even if they don't always feel his presence. Obviously, the same message is true for us, that it's never that God has gone away. It's that we've busied our hearts. We've filled them with the wrong things, so that our hearts can't be open to the presence of God in our midst. The Gospel is from Matthew 13, 47 to 53. Jesus tells another parable that the kingdom of heaven is like a fisherman who throws his net in the sea, catches all sorts of fish that can be eaten, and then what are called junk fish. And he separates what's good from what is not. And that's how it will be at the final judgment. This is a very important concept in the Gospel of Matthew, that we are responsible for our actions, and at the final judgment will be separated like sheep and goats. That's a parable that appears in this Gospel. Now, at the end there's a saying that the good scribe is the one who can go to the closet and take out the old and take out the new and use both. Remember, this is being written for a Jewish Christian audience, so the good scribe is the one who can respect the law of Israel, the prophets, but also recognize that Jesus is their fulfillment. But we could also apply it to our own days, to be able to respect tradition, that which has been handed down to us by previous generations, but also to be able to be creative, to find new ways to proclaim the gospel and to live the gospel in our own times, in our own culture. And may God bless us.